Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Peaky Ads podcast. And today we have not only a new camera but also new guests, a new topic. For those who are already kind of fed up with SEO topics, you saw we had a lot of them last time. We're gonna discuss analytics, and to be more precise, we're gonna talk about multi-touch analytics, about player acquisition, about platforms, how to use it, how to improve your stats, how to dive deep into cohort analysis. And to discuss all those topics, we have two wonderful guests on air, Gilead and Yuri. Guys, could you introduce yourself? Gilead, let's start with you.
Okay, so I'm Gilly Weisberg. I am the founder and CEO of iGamingCube. That's it's basically a player acquisition optimization platform, and I'm also the founder of Joava, which is a multi-touch attribution tracking and attribution platform, and that's what I bring to the table, helping people with optimizing their player acquisition and acquisition in general.
Nice, nice. Thank you for the intro. Yuri, it's your turn.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Jiří Kohutka. I'm founder of eConsult Limited, and I'm working as data analytics consultant and expert when it comes to Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, on-site tagging, and I'm basically helping clients around Europe to drive data-driven strategies by utilizing all the different data sets coming from marketing sources to sales to financial sources to payments. And I'm helping them out to create a better data governance and data integrity and to shape the strategies to become way better optimized and more efficient in their decision making.
Nice. Thank you for the intro. Looks like both of you guys have some experience in it. Let's see how is it going during the podcast. And before we dive deep into it, we'll cover the significance of data analytics in iGaming, best tools, frameworks, practical case studies, multi-touch attribution strategies, and for sure, future industry trends. And why is it important to talk about data analytics in iGaming? There are some points I would like to mention before we start. The gaming market is projected to reach about $315 billion by 2026 in the next year. Multi-channel attribution increases ROI by 40% when applied correctly, and we will talk not only on the multi-channel level, but we will go deeper into multi-touch level and discuss it in details. Also, understanding those customer touchpoints in the marketing funnel aids in correct budget allocation, expense optimization, and ROI enhancement. Stay tuned, we get started. And the first question gonna be an intro question. Yuri, let's start with you. Why is data analytics for player acquisition pivotal in the iGaming sector, and what solutions are on the table, and why, if they are not accurate enough up to your opinion?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a really good question because I've been in this analytics industry over a decade, and I helped several clients across iGaming, affiliates, automotive, healthcare, e-commerce. And what I can see across all of these verticals is that clients are running several different acquisition tactics, right? Which brings a lot of data from variety of sources. And basically, there is always a problem how to handle all of those data sources and make accurate decisions, right? Imagine an iGaming operator running programmatic campaigns, PPC campaigns, affiliate, having SEO data, and all other different data sources. And each and every platform provides its own cost data, provides its own clicks and impressions, and also its own conversions, right? But each and every tool, based on the pixel measurements, they steal conversions to each other, right? So then what becomes a problem is that when there was a boom, within the different organizations from going totally blind to being super data heavy culture organizations and starting building so many dashboards for each and every different marketing channel, it became a bit messy, right? Because you end up at a situation where you're having, let's say, an automated Power BI dashboard, which is related to SEO, and other dashboards related to PPC, to programmatic, to affiliate, and all of the others. And then suddenly the whole organization realizes, okay, we have so many data, but to make a decision, we need to zoom out a bit. So then there is another C-level dashboards which are created and automated. And that's the whole problem which I'm seeing, basically, because there is not a single source of truth, which would be basically joining all the different data sources from an upper funnel to customer behavior on site to the customer activity and the transactional data, right? And this is what I'm seeing across all the different verticals. And that's why we are here today to speak about the iGamingCube, because I had a chance to use this tool on a variety of the clients, and that's absolutely mind-blowing tool to basically integrate all of these things all together to understand different marketing sources.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Let's leave a word about iGamingCube to Gilead, because it's his product and he is so deep in it. Let us him introduce it. Thank you for the intro. I can totally confirm that even when I talk to business owners or operators, it's a little, not a little, it's a huge issue on the market that there is no system till we discuss the iGamingCube solution, which allows to combine all together the data. And most of business owners, even on the top level, founders level, they use still Google Excel files. And they combine their everything from Google Analytics, Power BI, and so on. So it's really crucial.
No. That I absolutely follow what you're saying, because it's the biggest problem that all the solutions are very fragile, because it's based on Excel's, Google Sheets, and some data integration platforms which are on the market. And basically, the problem is that any employee is just start running those dashboards and creating different connections. But when the user or when the employee resign, basically those dashboards are gone without no governance, right? And all the workflows are very fragile, because when any of the simple data sets fail during the data load, then the company is blind, and that's where it's really crucial to think about some centralized solution, because then you can save a lot of resources in terms of the internal resources and also on the cost side of those platforms.
Exactly. So, Gilead, it's time to ask you about iGamingCube. What is it? What is it for? Tell us more about it.
I think maybe even before that, let's discuss what is. We're talking about data analytics as if it's a kind of I don't know, some kind of abstract thing. What are we looking for? What is the challenge that an operator is trying to achieve? Operators, they're one of their biggest challenges is acquiring players. They need to acquire. They're a business of acquiring players and then retaining them within their game. So there's the whole part of retention. We'll put that aside. But when it comes to acquisition, their job is to go out into the world, spend money in order to acquire new players, in the hope that these players will make them a profit, right? So that is the thing. So when they come to the challenge of understanding the return on investment of this expense, they have thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of little cohorts where they spend money, which can be optimized. Now, when you come to optimizations, optimization is simple at the end of the day. How much have I spent? How much have I made? And deduct the one to the other, and you got your profit. But here it's a bit more difficult, because when you acquire a player, you're paying for that player usually upfront, and sometimes a hybrid between upfront and a rev share. and then you don't know how much you make from it because that player is going to play within the next year, 2 years. So when you take a group that you acquired from, let's say an affiliate, that affiliate has an audience. And if you take all those players that you acquired, let's say you acquired 500 players from that cohort, that affiliate, you want to be able to anticipate the future. Basically, how much are you going to make per player? And that part of data analytics is the point where you're trying to predict how much you're going to make. And prediction is not hocus pocus. There's data that you're trying to understand how much there is, how much to anticipate because of what has been. And the sooner you can get that information, the better an operator can be profitable, because he's got 10,000. You've got 1,000 affiliates. They've got campaigns, each one is a different audience, and the higher resolution optimization you can achieve, the quicker you can get that information, the quicker the optimization insights are in the hands of your employees, well, the more profitable you can be and more competitive in front of all the other operators. So I think that's kind of the for me, that's the challenge of becoming more efficient at your business.
Exactly. It's not only about the magic and hocus pocus. It's always about calculations, about analytics. And Yuri, as a user of the iGamingCube, how does it compare for an operator to other tools in your experience?
Well, from my honest opinion, it's a massive tool which can bypass so many different small solutions which the company has already onboarded. Because imagine that, the iGamingCube, first of all, can integrate variety of the marketing sources. So you can easily feed the iGamingCube with data from Google Ads, programmatic, TikTok, Meta, whatever other data sources we're speaking about. Then it has all financial data, feed it from the internal data warehouse, and you can then have as one and single source for everything that you need to build reporting on top, right? So this is where it really varies and where it's really different, because all of the things are, let's say, out of the box made for the customer to get onboarded. And that's very easy to, for the operator to immediately see all the data at your fingertip, right? So that's the greatest thing which I can just say about the iGamingCube, because to be honest, comparing with the other solutions where you're trying to onboard any report on Power BI, let's say, you need to first of all create the database, then start building up the APIs or using any of those connectors. Then you need to create a workflow to feed data daily into the reports. And you need to have a governance. You need to have like internal analysts, who needs to take care. And then at a certain point, when there is a question from the business, you need either to go to the internal BI teams and start asking questions, and then the time to decision takes ages, right? Which costs money. So this is where it really differs, with the whole approach and with the whole concept of having the data integrity at one and single place, and then building the decisions, in real time, basically.
Yes, it sounds like a very massive process, and it is. But in comparison to iGamingCube, for example, what was your experience of the integration process here? What was involved in it?
Mm-hmm. So basically, what needs to be done to get onboarded with the iGamingCube, from my experience, is to place a JavaScript code on the website, which can be done very easily, either by asking developers or even using the Google Tag Manager. You just deploy those JavaScript tags and the postback tracking, and then it starts feeding the data of the user activity on the site. Then the iGamingCube needs to have like a daily ingestion of the financial data of the player activity. And also in the use case we've been working on is to get the integration with the affiliate platforms, and then everything, all the other logic is then done within the iGamingCube. And also there is one important area which needs to be tackled to properly understand all the different marketing sources, and it's a tagging taxonomy of different acquisitions, right? This is a very important asset of the iGamingCube, where they have something similar to UTM Builder, which is provided from Google. It basically creates its own tracking links. So it puts all the marketing acquisition sources under the same scheme, and then the whole platform understands from where the customers are coming to a site, right? So there is no problem when it comes to using different agencies and different stakeholders, and each and every owner is using a different naming conventions, and then you need to do a lot of data clearance. So this is all solved because it just provides a simple link which can be shared across all the different agencies and vendors and all the acquisition sources, and then everything is streamlined, right? So it saves, again, a lot of work on the analytics side to get all the things in shape, So that's, very different.
Bring that down to like a concept, because you're talking about the details. Let me just, can I just summarize that? The iGamingCube is a centralized ecosystem, okay, and it integrates and provides all kinds of services that can be customizable for the operator. So it's not a static thing. We want to be like the extension backend for acquisition for an operator. Now, so on one hand, it's a reporting BI dashboard system, but it integrates with other systems, tracking, because at the end, the problem, one thing, as we said before, is lifetime value predictions. We want to be able to calculate the future. That's a BI problem. But you can't calculate the future without actually knowing where the player came from. And that's tracking. Tracking and BI are different things. When you're talking about tracking, on one hand, every operator uses an affiliate management system, right? That's a tracking solution. Then they want to buy media, they want to do all the other things, organic traffic, whatever. That's each one of these, they usually use a different tracking system. Being able to centralize the tracking on top of all these things, it doesn't have to change, you don't have to replace it, but having something that puts all these things together into a centralized tracking system on top of it, and then connecting the activity data on top of it. So if you think about it, I'm tracking visitors on the site. Now I've got a new player. That new player is now an acquisition. He's an acquisition. From that point on, I want to be able to say, where has he come from? He's come from this campaign. From that point on, I want to be able to aggregate the GGR, his deposits within his campaign, so I can measure the real value and the lifetime value of that source. So the process is bringing tracking and attribution from platforms like NetRefer, MyAffiliate, SellExpert, and tracking solutions. Right now, we're integrated with Joava. There could be in future other tracking solutions that are part of this. Bringing those together into a BI system where it is accessible in a privilege level to all the employees is the power that we're trying to do here. So integrations are easy. That's an easy thing. Yeah, that's my 2 cents about making it summarized.
Thank you for such a short intro about the tool, guys. Sounds really easy in comparison to what we need to do with Power BI or any other analytical systems. That sounds really easy, just JavaScript, some integrations, and it's gonna work. And if we talk, you also mentioned, Gili, you also mentioned about LTV prediction tool. That's clear how to track LTV. That's clear how to make retro analysis of LTV. But how do you calculate and predict LTV, especially on the first or on the second month when you get this cohort? So how accurate are those predictions?
Well, that's a common question. How accurate is a prediction? That's a good question. Like any other prediction, here it's based on data. We need to differentiate, because people get confused between predicting the lifetime value of a single player and a cohort of players. A cohort can be any campaign, affiliate, any group. It can be your whole brand. The more data you have, the average when I say activity, I'm talking about GGR, NGR, cost, net. We are talking about all the metrics of the P&L per player up until now, per day of activity. So you could have 500 players with 3,000 days of activity up until now. They are obviously purchased at different time points. So if I have a campaign 6 months, someone the first month, second month, third, and so on. We know all the data, and we are trying to predict if every one of those players played for X amount of time. So, for example, they were our customer for 2 years, 12 months. Depends on the settings we put together. So we're trying to get the average data per day of activity, anticipate how many more days of activity by looking backwards at the data and seeing the rate of decline or increase in the rare cases, the rate of decline of the player activity, and then applying a prediction, a mathematical prediction that will assess how many more days, and then bring it down to to an average per player. At the end of the day, the actionable insight that you want to look at on every campaign, let's say you're looking at an affiliate, you want to say, this affiliate has cost me per player, or the anticipated cost per player is 256, but I am anticipated to make 285 per player that I acquired. Now, that may not seem as much, but if you've acquired 500 players from that affiliate, that can be a lot. So you want to have single numbers and indications that tell an affiliate manager, do you know what? I need to look at this because there's a problem, or I need to double down. Now, you're talking about how quickly can you do it. In reality, you wouldn't want to start predicting before a month and a half, 2 months of data, because you don't have any rate of decline. So I can put a prediction, but it'll be a prediction, right? It'll be hocus pocus. And we're not in the business of hocus pocus. You can always go back in the hierarchy and say, let's say you've got a marketing source from an affiliate. You can go to the hierarchy of the affiliate who's got many marketing sources and use his prediction. So there's always, if you think about it, the potential amount of predictions that you can have for cohorts is in the hundreds of thousands. So an affiliate, you can say, what's the prediction for the affiliate? You can also look at a prediction per cohort month, a monthly cohort. Okay, so now if you think about how many of these you can have, you really just want a systematic way that you can touch and see the bottom line numbers and some information to indicate. And you know what another very important factor is when you're looking at a campaign is outliers. Some on your side, they may be VIPs, but imagine that you've acquired 300 players from an affiliate, but 2 of them have brought you 55% of all the revenue. So when you're now analyzing the lifetime value of that cohort, are you going to take into account these 2 players? because they're an anomaly. You're basically trying to understand what this audience is worth. So on our side, one of the things we do is we first of all identify with an algorithm who are the outliers, and then give you predictions both for with them and without them. So you've got a sense. There's no hocus pocus. There's information that is provided in an easy and digestible way for everybody, and then they can start making insightful decisions instead of going to the BI team, calling them up and saying, "Oh, can you tell me the information?" We want to democratize this information into the hands of the employees and empower them to make decisions. It's not a cut and dry, black and white. You need to use your common sense, but you want to have the information to dig in right in front of you.
Nice. Sounds like real magic, as I already mentioned. Could you demonstrate those prediction tools within iGamingCube? Is it okay to ask you about it?
Sure. Maybe I'll give you first a kind of overview of the bigger picture of how people look at their data from a top to bottom level before I even give you the predictions. What do you think about that? Because it will give you a sense, because if I said to you, look, I've got a list of all the predictions of all the affiliates, that's one thing. But being able to put those things in context will be
yeah, sounds good. Let's start with it.
Okay. So let me because you know what, it's really about accessibility. It's about how the employees can understand the information. And
exactly.
I just want to say, do you know a cube? What is a cube? A cube is based on the technology of an OLAP cube, where everything, all the data, after we've collected it, is pre-calculated and aggregated in advance, which makes it very interactive. It makes us able to basically just retrieve the data instead of querying the data. It's all pre-calculated, and you'll understand the speed. Now, let me share my screen here. Okay, so I'm going to show you how an operator gains control over their acquisition using the iGamingCube. Our goal is to be able to see our daily activity, our P&L, through the goggles of our acquisition. We're spending our money in many different places, campaigns, affiliates, and we want to know the return on investment of each one of these cohorts as soon as possible. The cube is built by aggregating the daily activity of each player, in this case, single touch attribution. So that means that this player belongs to one sub cohort, which is part of one cohort that is in one country. And in this case, it is managed by affiliate manager Paul. Now let's dive in and see the actual numbers so we understand what we're talking about. We're filtered on yesterday with an all-time comparison. I'll get into that soon. We acquired 207 players yesterday. Our gross revenue was 443,000. If we deduct from that the bonuses used and the operational costs like the taxes and platform fees, we reach our NGR. This is our total acquisition cost to affiliates, media buying. If we deduct this from the NGR, we reach our bottom line net profit for yesterday, 163,000. This is our daily report where our P&L is broken down by day. There's additional metrics here which breaks down the cost to CPA, fixed, and rev share. Notice that yesterday is the same as the total box because we're filtered on yesterday. We can also see our P&L bi-weekly, monthly, and monthly is a very important report because we have a bird's eye view of what our brand is doing. Notice that there's totals at the bottom, so we can see that this brand has done 4.3 million during its life cycle. Look how the GGR is growing, the amount of FTDs we're purchasing, the NGR is growing. So we can see the growth of this brand. It's a good time to talk about the difference between this monthly P&L report and the monthly cohort report, which is arguably the most important acquisition report, as we know. Please indulge me to explain this to your listeners because it's extremely valuable. First, I'll change the filter to all time. Let's talk about the month of June for a moment. Here in the monthly P&L report, we can see that we acquired 4,401 players. This is our GGR, NGR, our cost, which brings us to a positive net profit of 191,000. Now let's take a look at the same month in our monthly cohort report. Notice that it has the same amount of players, but it's showing a loss of 247,000. Why is that? Well, the monthly P&L aggregates all the activity of June. This includes revenue of players that were acquired before June, obviously. And that's what you'd expect, right? In other words, there's no real correlation between the cost we see and the revenue. This report is static. It will never change after the final numbers are in. On the other hand, if we look at June in the monthly cohort report, the data is showing the cost and revenue of these specific 4,401 players until present day. So this report is actually updating all the time. June is updating every day. It takes a moment to wrap your head around this, but when you do, you realize that this is the report you actually want to be looking at. And we can actually visualize the progression here. If we select the month of June, this in turn filters the monthly report to show the monthly progress of this cohort month. Check this out. June was the first month where we acquired these players. We can see the GGR progression of their activity per month. Obviously, there's only upfront cost in the first month. After that, it's only rev share. You can even see how many out of the 4,401 players are playing each month. This is really powerful stuff. As we saw before, the current total is 247,000 loss. But as you can see, we're making a nice steady monthly profit. I say that in no more than 2 months, we're going to break even. But we didn't really need to dig in manually to make this evaluation because we have a lifetime value prediction in the actual monthly cohort report showing us that June's acquisition will become profitable. I'll get into these predictions in a moment. Let's move now to the main report that we're on, which is the acquisition groups. I'm going to change the filter back to yesterday. In this report, every row represents an acquisition group. We have affiliate managers, internal and external media buying teams, and organic traffic. I want to race towards showing you lifetime value predictions, so I won't get into too much detail, but let me mention a couple of very powerful things that elevate decision-making on every main report. Notice how the report is sorted by absolute net descending, which means the distance from zero. This allows both the good and the bad rows to surface to the top. Basically, it is making the most relevant groups jump up. Now notice the VS column. It's now set in the filter to all time. It is now showing us the net profit of a parallel timeline. So when you're looking at affiliate manager Paul, yesterday the players that were acquired under his management made 38,000, but yet Paul is at a 400,000 lifetime loss. Without this column, you just wouldn't know, would you? So should we be worried about Paul's group? Let's go to town. First, I'll open the lifetime value prediction panel. There's 7,263 player acquisitions in Paul's group. 30 of them have been flagged as outliers by our algorithms. These 30 players are responsible for 18% of total revenue. The left side shows the current lifetime value metrics calculated both with and without the outliers. Currently, we're making an NGR of 232 per acquisition and a cost of 257, which means we're losing 25 per player. If we calculated the averages without the outliers, we're obviously at a bigger loss of 68 per player. But our lifetime value prediction is indicating that we will be profitable either way. How wonderful. It is even projecting the lifetime net profits. Now let's look into Paul's group in more detail by selecting the row. Now his name has gone into the filter and all the reports are filtered to his group alone. You see that the totals is the 400,000 loss we saw before. Let's open the monthly P&L now. We can actually see the loss grow here. Notice how Paul has grown from acquiring a few hundred players a month to over 2,500. In fact, everything here is growing. To be honest, it looks like Paul's found gold and is doubling down. Obviously, at first glance, it looks like it's producing a loss. But let's jump into the monthly cohort. Check out the lifetime value column here. It's at a loss now, but we're projecting considerable profits. This is the power of data at your fingertips. Without this level of accessibility, you're just losing out. Now let's examine the affiliates managed by Jonas. I'm going to click on the letter C. Notice how the letters on the navigation bar coincide with the letters at the top. Now we're viewing the performance of all the affiliates in Jonas's group filtered to yesterday. I immediately opened the lifetime value predictions to get a bird's eye view. Look, this is interesting actually. Check out this affiliate. We purchased 203 players from them. We identified one single outlier who is responsible for 63% of the revenue. Look how the current averages drop dramatically when calculating without that player. In this case, I would personally be using the no outlier prediction when optimizing. You know what, this is fun. Let's actually find the outlier player. I can press the A on the navigation bar to reach all the players acquired by this affiliate. Boom. I'm certain that this player with 134,000 GGR is our outlier. Even here, if we want, we can select this player and look at his historical data. He's definitely a VIP, let's put it this way. Let's finish up with seeing how the operator works with media buying. Up until now, we've only been talking about affiliate and affiliate managers, but there's a whole world of media buying which we haven't addressed. Jumped back to the group's dashboard, and I'm going to change in the background my user's privilege level to allow access only to external buy-by media agency. This is an agency that provides PPC advertising services. Now that I refreshed, I can only see the data as they would. You obviously don't want this agency to see anything beyond what they need to optimize. By the way, this is also true to your affiliate managers. Every employee should see only what is relevant to them. When they open a campaign, they use our UTM builder. So they fill out the form, and after they submit it, they're provided with the UTM destination link for each campaign. All the traffic is then tracked, attributed, and aggregated as normal. Now, buy-by media can optimize like pros. Instead of using deposit postbacks in their Google account, we can all hopefully agree that optimizing with deposits is a bad idea. In their case, they can see that they have suffered a loss yesterday, but overall, they're profitable, and their lifetime value predictions look positive. They can also dig deeper into their individual ad groups and optimize them. Having flexible privilege level access enhances the operator's ability to collaborate without jeopardizing any IP. It also means that if we decide to part ways with buy-by media, for example, then the intelligence derived from their acquisition is retained within the organization. Anyway, guys, that's a wrap. Passing it back to you now.
We are still there. Oh my God, you have such a passion to talk about your platform, about figures. I admire that attitude. That's cool. And if we talk about the platform, to summarize, I'm glad to see that already we have a solution on the table which combines all my Excel files I had on my previous jobs and my previous businesses all together. It's here, it's automatic. We can adjust it. We can set up our own rules. We can even exclude high rollers, or you call them outliners, and we can set up rules for them. We can make predictions on LTV, on behavior. Everything is combined. It's time just to make sales for affiliate managers. It's time to make optimization for media buyers, so they can concentrate on the important work processes instead of combining endless Excel, Google Sheets. So that's a cool thing. Thank you for sharing. And let's go into the next question. You mentioned so many features on your platform, and an obvious question, because we have talked about acquisition. and you collect a lot of data, as I see. What about retention? Do you have any retention tools on your platform, retention insights? Do you have anything about it?
Well, the platform is focused right now on acquisition because it's such a huge topic. Obviously, because it's also, in a way, you can see it's so close to a CRM. You got a ticket on every one of these players. It's going from the player up to the groups. That the step into retention is very easy. There are future plans of doing retention. Right now, we are basically identifying high rollers and things like that. But for me, really going into retention is about how you create features that help the operator use the information that the cube has in order to retain the players. That's with campaigns, in-app automation. Imagine your site, when the player comes in, he knows the history immediately of all the metrics that he needs. He doesn't need to search the internet, the query of doing it. He just knows. And then he could just pop things up, suggest things because of this information. We're very close to that. But at the moment, our focus is on acquisition.
Nice. Maybe it's a good further step for you. Why not? And you also mentioned multi-touch attribution. Could you tell a little bit in short about it for our newbies, for our audience who is not only professional operators or expert levels, also some newbies watch this channel. So could you explain what is multi-touch attribution? Why is it so important? And how many touches, if it's not only about last click or first click, do you track, and how to work with this?
Yeah, multi-touch attribution is a big topic in tracking and attribution, obviously. In reality, most of acquisitions don't happen because of one campaign that we spent our money on. It's happened because of multiple campaigns. Affiliate campaigns, multiple affiliates, Google, PPC, whatever. A person is going through all kinds of things that convince him to become a customer. Now, when we're trying to measure what is to optimize our campaigns, our cohorts, as we said before, we want to attribute our revenue to the campaigns that contributed to the sale. But technically, and in the legacy, it's always been attributed to the last campaign that made the sale. Now, that's not what happens in reality, but that's how 99.9% of the world work, because we have to do it on something. When we're talking about multi-touch attribution, we're talking about trying to gain the insight on attributing the player, not to one campaign, to many, and then each time we make money from that customer, potentially divide every revenue that comes in, we're talking about GGR, between all the campaigns that originally brought us to purchase that thing. So in a gist, that is the essence of multi-touch attribution, and that leads you to higher resolution optimization. Because, for example, let's say you're a campaign that is not a deal closer. It doesn't have a call to action, but it's still accessing an audience because you're a vlogger or whatever, and people click on it and they see it. It is part of the funnel that visitors go through, and it could have a value. And if it is within the journey, you as a company want to know how much times it has been in the journey of the acquisition, preferably even give it a monetary value So you can say, okay, I spent on it 100,000. It's not that I made zero. I've given it some kind of a value each time I made a sale. And now, do you know what? I actually see that I made 120,000. If you were using last touch attribution, you'd be saying zero. Okay. So multi-touch attribution is a way to kind of elevate your thing. So there's all kinds of levels of how you can approach multi-touch attribution.
Yes, exactly, and it helps a lot to optimize your budgets, to invest in a smart way, to see every touch in this marketing funnel, because for sure you can be quite confident about the fact that the last touch is very important, and put something like 50% on it from the whole marketing channel, like 30% in the very beginning, 20 somewhere in between. And that's what I saw while preparation in your system, that you can manually adjust each touch point in part of value, in part of how much you consider the value of it, like 20, 30, 50% or more. So it will help you to calculate the expenses, calculate the budgets, and optimize it in a good way. Yuri, if you're still alive and here as well, could you comment on that? Because I know you work a lot with this system we just had a massive talk about, and in part of multi-touch attribution, for sure, it's not something new for you. For sure, you're in it. So could you tell us, does many operators work with this level of technology? What do they think about it, and how did you go about it, achieving it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for this question. Basically, many of the operators, in the past, they were just looking on the last touch, right? And that was the single source of truth for them, right? But then they started creating a marketing portfolio of different acquisition channels. So many of the operators started recording like a first touch and last touch, and trying to do some internal calculations, how to properly assign budgets. Then I have seen, the operators going that direction. That they started at least storing, let's say, the landing pages with the UTM parameters, and at least understanding how many post-click touch points were in the journey prior to conversion, and doing their own thing, right? Those are the things where clients are getting to. But of course, it was very hefty, process on the BI teams to process everything, and it wasn't that, that fresh and that fast, like what Gilead is showing us here in the iGamingCube. The problem here is basically that you need to process each and every touch point and then do the calculations. And then basically what I have seen is that they created like a segment of traffic that was tracked in order to save a certain amount of money on the cost of operation, and then they apply across all the traffic, right? So they were working just with the segments, which is again something which is bypassed here, because we can have the understanding of each and every touch point. And by saying that, the problem I've seen, or the limitation, was that many operators stayed at the level of a channel, let's say, so they understood, okay, this is Meta, this is PPC, this is affiliate, and they didn't have that granularity, right? Imagine that with this approach and with this whole concept, you can go down to a keyword level, right? And then you can really understand how, for instance, your SEO keywords works closely with the PPC campaigns, and how you can shift different communication between the channels, and how to associate those costs in the best way possible, right? So this is what I'm seeing as a shift of the operators, that they are more getting into it. They want to start understanding the multi-touch, but they are not there yet, to be honest. They are just at the beginning of using it and getting adopted on such solutions.
Yeah, Gila, you have a comment about it, yeah?
Yeah, no, I said maybe I can, with a short visual, I can make it very understandable for your viewers what multi-touch attribution is, because it's a subject that not many people know about, and I've spoken to many CEOs, and even people sometimes say, does it mean that I can see the journey of every individual player? And well, that is cool to be able to see it. When it comes to acquisition, you're not going to go to all your 200,000 players and look at the journey of each one and think that may be giving you any insight. It's the aggregation of everything and what you can get from it on an optimization level, which is the thing that is valuable. And maybe I can show that to you if you're up for it.
Yes, why not? Let's take a look.
Okay, so
quite short overview, I would say.
Yeah, it'll be much quicker than the. I'm going to show you actually the Joava platform, which is the tracking and attribution platform, and I'm going to show you just one page and zoom in on something. Okay, this is the Joava tracking and attribution platform running on an affiliate account. They're running all kinds of destinations, but all you really need to know is that every row is a campaign. I'm going to zoom in on this multi-touch attribution panel here. This is the total amount of revenue made by this campaign, and this is the attribution count. But the attribution count here is not equal to the amount of sales. Every sale or acquisition, if you like, can have many attributions. There'll always be one in the first place, one in the last place, and there could be many in the mid position, dependent on how many touch points there are. Every time an acquisition is made, the attribution count will go up only by one for every campaign that participated in the journey. Now, how much revenue do we attribute to each touch point? That's dependent on the model. Here we can see how it is set up for this affiliate. This is a multi-touch view model that they set up. The first place receives 30%, last 50%, then all the mid-touch points divide the remaining 20%. They can change this ratio at any time. So if the acquisition is worth 1,000, then the first touch point will get 300, the last touch point will get 500, and if there's one campaign remaining, then it will get 200 in the mid touch point, and if there are two, then 100 each, and so on. The optimization value for us is in the aggregation of this data. First of all, you're able to see the strength of each campaign within each position. This is super interesting. Some campaigns are more for exposure, and some are better at deal closing. This campaign, for example, is more of a closer. You can see it by the numbers. But if you scroll, we can see campaigns that are more heavy on the first and mid touch points. Think about it. If we were not viewing multi-touch attribution, as most don't obviously, we would be blind to these attributions. We would potentially close campaigns which are substantial in the customer journey. We really want to avoid this. But even more important than seeing the placement aggregations, it is the total aggregation between them that is very valuable. All the placements are aggregated together to the total attribution count and revenue. And here's the real magic number when it comes to optimization. The average attribution price. This is the average we make per attribution in this campaign. So if a campaign has more attributions in the last touch, obviously the average will be higher because it is credited with more revenue in our model. The average attribution price is completely unique to each campaign, and it's derived from its placement in the acquisition funnel. So this campaign will have a higher acquisition price, and this one will be lower. We can look at a few more if you like. They're all completely unique. But don't make the mistake of thinking that the lower average is less valuable. It really depends on the conversion rate. Value is calculated as a ratio between average attribution price and conversion rate. Anyway, guys, I better stop here. I've packed quite a bit of information on you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that can help people make more money. And what I see, it's kind of a little bit similar to conversion value strategy within Google AdWords. There you can also optimize it, figure out which channel, which campaign is most effective. But you have the next step. You can do it not only with Google, you can do it with every channel within this system, and you can add any channel to the system. So it's really going forward. That's a cool idea. Yuri, what do you have any comment here? Do you have anything in mind in comparison to the market? Are there any solutions like that?
There are some solutions, of course. First of all, they, from my honest opinion, the biggest advantage here is that we are close to real time. I mean, of course, we're depending on the data to get from the platforms, which is like about 24 hours delay, but we are close to real time, right? But when you're using other solutions, there is always like exposed data ingestion, and the other multi-touch platforms I've been working with basically are providing you the outputs on a weekly, monthly level, for instance, taking into detail all of the different data sources that you provide to them. Then they run the magic, do the algorithm computation logic, and then they provide you with the outcome, right? So this is again, the scalability and data freshness, and the data availability here is like immense, because you can go across all the different data sources, because usually, many of the clients are approaching me and asking, listen, I have one agency here for PPC and one agency for paid social, right? And I don't know how to distribute the budget in between. And, without having such tool, it's always quite hard to answer, because you start with the proper measurement, with setting up the server-side tagging and all of that things to get the proper understanding of the conversions. And then you are just correlating the different trend lines and trying to get the answer. But it will never be that accurate as what this platform can provide you, right? That's why, I was really amazed when I had a chance to start working with the iGamingCube, because it's like a game changer for me as an analyst. And it really simplifies my life, in that sense.
Yes, sounds like a cool solution, and thank you for your feedback about it. Gili, do you have any predictions for the future of player acquisition optimization on behalf of your platform or in general about the market?
Yeah, well, I think that I got a prediction that I would like to happen, right? I think having a prediction where things become more efficient is always a good prediction. If you can predict how things can make more money, then a lot of times those predictions can come true. One of the problems in this industry is being reliant on affiliates and the affiliate management technology that is currently out there. All affiliate management systems are single touch attribution. Doesn't matter if it's last touch or if it's first touch, they're single touch. That inherently is a big problem and a bottleneck for profitability that nobody really realizes. First of all, it introduces fraud. When you have a lot of affiliates trying to get winning the attribution for each player, people are going to start using their elbows to be that one. It doesn't matter. There's methods to fraud in the last touch, and there's methods for the first touch. So now these affiliates are also in the mindset of getting a commission. That's their goal. Not their goal is not elevate the brand. It is get the commission. So now you're in a situation where the actual inherent technology is not supporting the objectives of the operator. That is a problem as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm going to bring this into multi-touch attribution. Imagine a world where the technology of the marketplace is not single touch, it is multi-touch. That means that if you've got affiliates, whatever happens between them, if you were part of the journey that brought an acquisition, you will get a proportion of the reward. Not so you could apply all kinds of models. It's all good. Doesn't have to be equal. The first one will get a certain amount. The last touch will get a certain amount. But you will ensure that you will get an amount. Imagine what that can do to the marketplace and how it can open it up. First of all, on one hand, it can make so many more affiliates or people that have an audience. I've got a blog about something completely different. At this point in time, I wouldn't be an affiliate for a gaming company, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm never going to close deals. I know that there's people doing PPC, whatever. I've just got an audience, so I'm not going to even bother. If I knew that if I put my blog out and my audience are just going to look at it, they're going to click, and after them, maybe somebody else is going to promote. But even if, as long as they close a deal at some point, I will get a certain proportion. It could be that I'm getting $20 for a conversion. But now, suddenly, so many more people, influencers, we're in the world of influencers. We're in the world of content, video content online, social media. Suddenly, everybody will say, oh, do you know what? Cool, I'll put an affiliate link to click. Why not? I will get, so now a lot of feedback, people will come and say, yeah, but the big affiliates are not going to like it. They'll be pushed back. You know, instead of getting their $300, they'll be getting $100. That's not true, because on one hand, you may get less per attribution, but you can get far more attributions, because it doesn't matter where you are in the funnel, you're still going to get a commission. Now you're going to open up the whole world. And as far as I'm concerned, if that is the future, by the way, I've developed an affiliate management system in Joava. I've got it with that capability. I don't think the marketplace is ready for such a leap. Eventually, I hope it will be. I'm ready here with the thought process, the technology, and we'll see.
Exactly. I'm quite sure that market is not ready. That's quite difficult to spread those revenues in a correct way between those multi-touch levels. I guess that it's gonna be last touch for a while still, but those technologies which we just talked about for sure have big future. We see it not only within this talk, but also within Google AdWords, as I mentioned, with also other platforms which Yuri talked about. Yuri, by the way, do you have any predictions here, any final takes about the data analytics and its importance in data-driven marketing?
I mean, as in all the other areas, right? Putting AI in analytics is a huge game changer, right? Before it was very, quite techie demanded to build up something, to get certain integration, to get any reasonable report out of the raw data. With today's technologies, I can see that, the regular analysts for digging in for insights are not as demanded as before. It's basically the market demand is for someone who has the capability to work with Python and knows programming and understands machine learning, to develop more advanced models. This is where I see it, where the whole analytics industry is shifting. And with regards to the attributions, I mean, we are at the stage where many of the operators and companies already know that the last touch, first touch is wrong, right? And they are trying to seek out for new opportunities for better data, for getting more insights. But as we said before, I think it's a journey. It will be a process of a few years. And that's why we are here and opening up this topic on the table, basically, to show off what is possible to do with these advanced technologies.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I can confirm that it is very important for data analytics to have not just basic skills, but also can extract, can compose data, automate data gathering processes. And that's what I see already. Some operators on the market already implement within their businesses. So we are here just provided an illustration, iGamingCube, an illustration how to build those processes all together. Whether you're going to use it or not, keep in mind it's very crucial to optimize your marketing funnels, to make data analysis, and to have a proper system for it. And I hope it's not gonna be in Google Sheets or some TXT files. I hope you're gonna use advanced technologies which will save you time for much more important business things. For example, like sales, because sales are not automated yet. We can for sure talk about AI here also, but real deals comes with real people usually. So this has been an insightful session with Gili and Yuri. If you enjoyed this episode, support our channel, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below on your favorite analytics strategy. Check out our previous episode, How to Show Up in AI Search, for more insights about iGaming growth, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.